Odyssey IV continued, lines 476 to 617. Menelaus continues. He tells of his time stuck in Egypt, where he learned that he must encounter and confront the old man of the sea if he wants information to get home. Proteus can take various forms. Menelaus, through subterfuge, captures him. I was in Egypt, where a mighty time the gods detained me. Though my natural clime I never so desired, because their homes I did not greet with perfect hecatombs. For they will put men evermore in mind how much their masterly commandments bind. There is besides a certain island called Pharos, that with the high-waved sea is walled, just against Egypt, and so much remote, as in a whole day with a 4-gate smote a hollow ship can sail. And this isle bears a port most portly, where sea passengers put in still for fresh water and away to sea again. Yet here the gods did stay my fleet full 20 days. The winds that are masters at sea no prosperous puff would spare to put us off, and all my victuals here had quite corrupted, as my men's minds were, had not a certain goddess given regard, and pitied me in an estate so hard, and 'twas Eidothea, honored Proteus' seed, the old seafarer. Her mind I make bleed with my compassion, when walked alone from all my soldiers that were ever gone about the isle on fishing with hooks bent, hunger their bellies on her errands sent. She came close to me, spake, and thus began. Of all men thou art the most foolish man, or slack in business, or stayest here of choice, and dost in all thy sufferance rejoice, that thus long liv'st detained here, and no end canst give thy tarriance? Thou dost much offend the minds of all thy fellows. I replied, whoever thou art of the deified, I must affirm that no way with my will I make abode here. But it seems some ill the gods inhabiting broad heaven sustain against my getting off. Inform me then, for Godheads all things know, what god is he that stays my passage from the fishy sea? Stranger, said she, I'll tell thee true. There lives an old seafarer in these seas that gives a true solution of all secrets here, who deathless Proteus is, the Egyptian peer, who can the deeps of all the seas exquire, who Neptune's priest is, and they say the sire that did beget me. Him, if any way thou couldst inveigle, he would clear display thy course from hence, and how far off doth lie the voyage's whole scope through Neptune's sky, informing me. O God, preserved beside, if thy desires would be so satisfied. Whatever good or ill hath got event, in all the time thy long and hard course spent since thy departure from thy house, this said again I answered, make the sleights displayed that thy fathers useth, lest his foresight see, of his foreknowledge taking note of me. He flies the fixed place of his used abode. 'Tis hard for men to countermine with God. She straight replied, I'll utter truth in all. When heaven's supremest height the sun doth scal, the old sea-tell truth leaves the deeps and hides amidst a black storm, when the west wind chides and caves still sleeping. Round about him sleep, with short feet swimming forth the foamy deep, the sea calves, lovely Halcyonides called, from whom a noisome odor is exhaled, got from the whirlpools on whose earth they lie. Here, when the morn illustrates all the sky, I'll guide, and seat thee in the fittest place for the performance thou hast now in chase. In meantime, reach thy fleet and choose out 3 of best exploit, to go as aids to thee. But now I'll show thee all the old God's sleights. He first will number and take all the sights of those his guard, that on the shore arrives, when having viewed and told them forth by fives, he takes place in their midst, and there doth sleep. Like to a shepherd midst his flock of sheep, in his first sleep call up your heartiest cheer, vigor and violence, and hold him there, in spite of all his strivings to be gone. He then will turn himself to every one of all things that in earth creep and respire, in water swim, or shine in heavenly fire. Yet still hold you him firm, and much the more press him from passing. But when as before, when sleep first bound his powers, his form ye see, then cease your force, and the old hero free, and then demand, which heaven born it may be that so afflicts you, hindering your retreat, and free sea passage to your native seat. This said, she dived into the wavy seas, and I my course did to my ship's address, that on the sand struck where arrived, we made our supper ready. Then the ambrosian shade of night fell on us, and to sleep we fell. Rosy Aurora rose, we rose as well, and three of them on whom I most relied, for firm at every force I choose, and hied straight to the many-rivered served sea, and all assistance asked the deities. Meantime, Idothea the sea's broad breast embraced, and brought for me and all my rest 4 of the sea-calves' skins, but newly flayed, to work a while, which she had fashioned upon her father. Then within the sand a covert digging, when these calves should land, she sat expecting. We came close to her, she placed us orderly, and made us wear, each one his calf's skin. But we then must pass a huge exploit. The sea-calf's savour was so passing sour, that still being bred at seas, it much afflicted us. For who can please to lie by one of these same sea-bred whales? But she preserves us, and to memory calls a rare commodity. She fetched to us ambrosia, that an air most odorous bears still about it, which she anointed round our either nostrils, and in it quite drowned the nasty whale smell. Then the great event, the whole morn's date, with spirits patient, we lay expecting. When bright noon did flame, forth from the sea and shoals the sea-calves came, and orderly at last lay down and slept along the sands. And then the old sea-god crept from forth the deeps, and found his fat calves there, surveyed and numbered, and came never near the craft we used, but told us 5 for calves. His temples then, diseased with sleep he salves, and in rushed we, with an abhorred cry, cast all our hands about him manfully, and then the old forger all his forms began. First was a lion with a mighty mane, then next a dragon, a pied panther then, a vast boar next, and suddenly did strain all into water. Last he was a tree, curled all at the top, and shot up to the sky. We with resolved hearts held him firmly still, when the old one, held too straight for all his skill to extricate, gave words and questioned me.